So next, let's proceed to the next section of our accountancy law, so which discusses the practice of accountancy. So under our RA, so the use of the title Certified Public Accountant or even the abbreviated title CPA is not allowed. No, it's prohibited. So unless a person was granted the certificate of registration by the board, which if you remember, now can be obtained once you pass the CPA licensure examination. And then there's also an accreditation to practice public accountancy as indicated or as provided in the IRR. So in addition to passing the CPA board examination, a CPA should have his or her own practice be accredited. So before he or she can practice public accountancy. So meaning after you pass the board, so you cannot just sign any paper or document as a practitioner in public practice because there's additional requirement imposed by our law, no, by our IRR, no, which is the accreditation to practice public accountancy. And aside from documentary requirements, so you have to acquire a minimum of 3 years meaningful experience before you can be accredited as a CPA in public practice. So and then later on, there's also an accreditation now required if you want also to teach accountancy. So in the IRR, only the accreditation to practice public accountancy was provided. So but later on, the BOA issued the resolution, if you remember earlier in our discussion, so regarding accreditation also to teach accountancy. And then finally, the SEC shall not register any corporation for the practice of accountancy. So meaning to say, the only allowed form of practice in public accounting would be individual practice, sole proprietorship, and the largest would be the partnership. Okay, so corporation is not allowed as a form of organization to practice public accountancy. Take note, here in the Philippines. So because RA 9298 is a local law. So in other country, it's possible to have a special type of corporation so to practice accountancy, but not here in the Philippines. So another provision in our accountancy law is about the ownership of working paper. So all working papers, schedules, memoranda made or prepared by the CPA or his or her staff, so remains to be the property of the CPA. So except for reports submitted by the CPA to the client. So that is why if, for example, you have an analysis, so working paper documentation, so prepared by you, so during the course of your practice engagement, so that is not a substitute for the accounting records of the client. So they should have a separate record of their own. So those working paper that you prepare are considered your property. Okay? So there's also a question about the schedules originally prepared by the client and then subsequently furnished to the CPA. So for example, the client prepared a trial balance, no, about their company and then they submitted it to you as part of the audit requirement. So in that case, those schedules, while originally prepared by the client, but the copies furnished to us are considered to be part of our working paper. Okay, so it's rarely that the client will provide us with an original copy. So usually what the client will give us are copies of their uh, documents, no, or schedules. In that case, if they submitted it to us as auditor, then those will be considered part of our working paper and therefore our ownership. This one we mentioned already. So working papers are not substitute for the client's accounting record. So another important uh, provision in our CPA law or in our accountancy law rather is the continuing professional development or CPD. So but if you look at the original IRR, so it's called CPE by then, no? So continuing professional education. So but recently, so to standardize this program by the PRC, so we now call it CPD. So we also have a law relating to CPD issued last 2016 or approved last 2016. So CPD involves the inculcation, assimilation of knowledge, skills, proficiency, ethical, and moral values, even after our formal education. So, meaning to say, even if we finish our degree, pass the CPA licensure examination, so our learning, no, our development would not end there. Okay, we still have to continually update ourselves with the developments in the profession. Okay, and uh, undertake no different learning and development activities even if we become already a CPA. Okay? So in that case, we have the PRC CPA Council, which is now called the PRC CPT Council, so which is created by the board to assist them in implementing the CPE program. So our PRC CPT Council consists of the chairman, who is consequently a representative from BOA or member or part also of the Board of Accountancy. So with the first member being a PICPA president or authorized director of PICPA, and second member which is a president of a school or dean of accountancy. Okay? So this PRC CPD Council is the one created so by the board to assist them to implement the CPD requirement for CPA professionals. So also, if the need arises, the PRC CPD Council may also delegate to PICPA the processing of application, keeping of records for CPT providers and their programs and credit units earned by each CPA. So this counterpart is called the PICPA CPD Council. So this PRC CPD Council and the PICPA CPD Council work hand in hand so to implement the CPT program of the Board of Accountancy. So here are some of the timeline or development in our CPD program and requirement. So before, the required CPD units is 60 credit units for a compliance period of 3 years. So meaning to say, after we have pass the CPA board examination, we need to renew our license every 3 years. Okay, so remember that. And when we renew our license with the PRC, we have to present proof of compliance with CPD or continuing professional development. So these credit units are earned from different activities, no, learning and development activities, like for example, attending seminars and convention. Okay? Now, in the past, the requirement is 60 credit units for a period of 3 years. But beginning 2017, it was increased no, from 60 to 120 credit units. So per BOA Resolution 2016-358 entitled New CPD Requirements. So the requirement so to earn CPD require or CPD units have drastically increased, no? It has doubled, okay? But in 2019, various CPD councils from different professionals, okay, not only accountancy, decided to reduce the required CPD unit to a minimum which shall not be more than 15. So as prescribed for under our applicable laws, to renew their license from PRC every 3 years. So in 2019, there was a reprieve. So instead of 120, now the minimum required is 15 every 3 years. However, if you are uh, having yourself accredited, no, and either under public practice or accounting teacher, you still have to comply the mandated 120 credit units for accreditation purposes. So usually these 15 credit units would be applicable if you are not exercising your accreditation. So meaning to say you are renewing your PRC or PRC ID without necessarily practicing or you are not using your accountancy degree as your main line of work or main line of practice. So like for example, so there are companies who are CPAs in different capacity and therefore they do not necessarily require so the CPA or the professional to present the PRC ID as part of the work requirement. So, but in that case, if the professional accountant wanted to renew his or her professional ID anyway, so he or she would present at a minimum 15 credit units. However, if you are a CPA in public practice or you are an accounting teacher and you need an accreditation to practice your profession, then you will be then you will still be needing the 120 credit units. So the next question is that where can we get the CPD credit units? So here is the updated source of CPD units per BOA Resolution 254-2017. So one of the major sources of CPD credit unit would be attendance in seminars and or convention. Okay, so our professional organization, like for example, PICPA, they conduct annual and semi-annual convention now where CPAs from different parts of the country or even different parts of the world so attend, no? So there will be different learning activities there like training, seminar, updates from the Board of Accountancy. So usually last between 3 to 4 days, no, or almost a week. So pre-pandemic, those convention are being done face to face in different parts of the country. So depending in who is the host host chapter or region, so during that convention. Okay, but during the pandemic, the convention is still being held but virtually. Okay, now if you are a resource speaker, you earn 3 credit unit per hour. For example, you are invited to speak in PICPA convention, and you are allotted 4 hours to discuss a certain topic. So you will earn 4 times 3 credit unit per hour, total of 12 credit units for that engagement. So you can also be invited as a reactor or panelist. So who will, for example, ask question from the resource speaker. So in that case, you will earn 2 credit unit per hour. If you are a facilitator or moderator in a forum during that seminar or convention, you earn 1 credit unit per hour. And finally, if you are a participant, so you will earn the approved credit unit for the program. So for example, let's say in the convention, the approved credit unit, if you attend all the programs there, all the activities there would be 10 credit unit, no, for a span of 3 days. Then you will earn that credit unit if you attend the entire program. Okay? Or for example, there's a 1-day seminar and the approved credit unit for that 1-day seminar would be 3 credit unit. So therefore, if you attended that seminar and completed it, then you will earn 3 credit units. So depending on the approved credit unit for that specific program. So other sources of credit unit include academic track. So like for example, you take postgraduate degree, like master's and doctorate degree, you will earn corresponding credit units. Or you study, you undertake further studies like law degree. So you will also earn corresponding credit units. Or take certain professional certification. Like for example, CIA, CFA, CFE. So then you will get 10 credit unit per professional certification. Or even if you handle professorial chair in a BSA program of a college or university, so you will also earn credit unit. Okay? So finally, other source include the self-directed or lifelong learning. So if you attend training offered by non-accredited CPD providers, because there's also an accreditation for CPD providers, so then you can apply it with the PRC, and then they will assign a corresponding credit unit for that self-directed learning. If you author journals, articles, and textbook, you also earn credit unit. So there are corresponding credit unit depending on the number of pages of your textbook or of your article. If you are also an active committee participant in a different standard setting bodies like the FRSC and AESC or PICPA or even CHED, you also earn corresponding credit units. Okay, however, there's a limit of 40% of the required CPD units for a compliance period that will come from self-directed or lifelong learning. So if it's 120, only percent of that can be earned, no, from self-directed or lifelong learning. Okay? And also, take note that when we earn our CPD, there are what we call different competence areas. So these competence areas, we have 3. Letter A, technical competence, which include standards applicable to our profession, laws, rules, and regulation affecting the professional practice, environmental practice. So when you attend a seminar and the topic is, let's say, PFRS updates or tax update, then that will fall under competence area A. And there's a minimum required units of 30. So letter B is professional skills. Now, like for example, there's a seminar and it's about proper, let's say, business decorum, etiquette. So in that case, that will fall under professional skills. So, and you will get 5 minimum credit units, or you need to get 5 minimum credit units for that. And last, letter C, professional values, ethics, and attitudes. So, for example, you attended seminar about ESG, environmental, social, government topic, code of ethics. Then it will fall under competence area C. And you have to get minimum of 5 there. So, 30 plus 5 plus 5, 40. So, the remaining 80 will come from flexible units. Meaning to say, so any area, you can get the remaining 80. Okay. However, you cannot attend CPD program only for, let's say, technical competence area letter B, professional skills only, the entire 120. Okay, so you have to get a minimum 30 from technical competence and minimum 5 from professional values, ethics, and attitudes. Okay, so that's it for the CPD. This is very relevant once you become a CPA already in the future. Now, finally, last part of the part 4 or section 4 of our IRR or RA 9298 is about the Accredited National Professional Organization, so also known as the APO. So in the Philippines, we have one APO, which is the PICPA or the Philippine Institute of Certified Public Accountants. So it was recognized as an APO on October 2, 1975 per accreditation number 15 and is a registered non-profit organization with the SEC. So they are required to renew their accreditation once every 3 years, and membership to PICPA shall not be a bar to membership in other association of CPA. So meaning to say, you can still be part of other professional organization even if you are part of PICPA. So PICPA conducts different programs and activities to promote the welfare of the profession, the accountancy profession. So that's why I mentioned earlier, no, they conduct seminars, activities, so where CPAs can attend and hone their skills and knowledge and updates, no, about the accountancy profession. So PICPA is divided into geographical area and regions. So although the national uh, office of the PICPA is the only one recognized by the SEC as an entity, no, with legal entity. Okay? So, under the national office, we have the different geographical area and region to facilitate, to coordinate, no, the different activities and program of PICPA throughout the Philippines. So, we have 4 geographical area: the Luzon geographical area, Metro Manila geographical area, Visayas geographical area, and Mindanao geographical area. So under each geographical area, we have PICPA regions. So for example, under Metro Manila geographical area, we have Metro Manila region. So under Luzon, we have Northern Luzon, Central Luzon, Southern Tagalog, and Bicol region. Under Visayas, we have Eastern Visayas and Western Visayas region. And Mindanao, we have Northern and Southern Mindanao region. And under each region, we have chapters. So chapter would be the smallest unit of the PICPA. Okay? Like for example, here in Metro Manila, so we have the Northern Metro Manila region, the Eastern Metro Manila region, chapter rather, Northern Metro Manila chapter, Eastern Metro Manila chapter, and so on. Okay? So those chapter would be your would depend, no, on your area of practice. So you will coordinate with them. So whenever you want to attend, for example, conventions and seminar to comply, no, with your CPD requirement.